It's Barry with Trailhead Outdoors and the team dietitian Brenda,
yep,
my sidekick. 10 o'clock, we're underway, 10 o'clock. We've got about 15, 16 miles to go today. I'm hoping that's right. The maps for the Smokey Mountains trails are notorious for being off, so it could be 20 miles, who knows. We'll find out when we get there. Got the GPS rolling, so we'll be able to give you accuracy to 3 meters. Okay, we're starting off here. We're on a horse trail right now, actually, because we parked at the Deep Creek Trailhead, which is a little ways from the Nolan Divide Trail. But when we come out of the woods on the, I believe it's the Deep Creek Trail, it'll put us right at the truck and we can just collapse and get in the truck and go. Well, we made it half a mile to the Nolan Divide Trail. We've got about 7.8 miles to our next intersection. I believe it's the Nolan's Ridge. I looked at the topographical map, and this section should be uphill, which makes sense because we're coming from Deep Creek and we're going to the ridge. You can only do that by going uphill. Other than a frog, this is our first wildlife sighting. I'm not sure what kind of a snake it is, so I'm not going to touch it. I wouldn't touch it anyway because from my research, most snake bites are not on the leg, they're on the hands, arms, because yahoos try to pick them up. Hey y'all, watch this, and they pick up the snake and it bites them. So the moral of the story is walk around the snake
and put your husband in the front.
Snake bait. Looks like we finally hit Nolan's Ridge on Nolan's Ridge Trail. We've been about 3.5 miles, climbed about, let's say 1,900 feet, and you can see the ridge. I mean, there's nothing higher on either side. So, safe to say, we're walking along the ridge. So hopefully it will be a bit easier of a hike for the next few miles. I think we probably got about 5 more miles to go before we branch off onto Nolan's Creek. Probably start heading downhill for that. I believe that's where our campsite is. Well, we're probably about 4 miles in, about 2,100 feet up, and starting to see fewer trees, more open spaces, overlooks over the valley. That might be too wide of an angle to see anything. I'll get the other camera. Slight correction, when I said 2,100 feet, that's our elevation gain. We're at almost 4,000 feet. That's why the trees are starting to thin out. The trail is very rocky too. No protection from the sun, but it's under 80 degrees, which is much less than 100 plus in Central Florida. Alright, I'm kind of afraid to say anything, and Brenda will probably throw something at me for doing it, but it's really quite pleasant. The temperature's dropped probably 5-10 degrees. Looks like the sun's hiding behind some clouds, getting a little bit overcast, but I haven't generated any fresh sweat, and the sweat that I did have, believe me, it was all over me too. I'm wet from head to toe. Is cooling quickly. Feels nice. I'm enjoying it. One thing I'm not enjoying though is apparently we're the first people through here today. Either that or Sunday is all you can eat spider web buffet day, because I've been eating lots of spider webs. Some of them are those thick ones that knock you backwards when you walk through them. We made it to the branch off that goes to Noland's Creek. We got 4.8 miles to the Springhouse branch trail, right down that way. Can you hear that? That's the sound of running water. We were thirsty. We emptied our bottles, I guess about a half a mile ago. Anyway, there's always water sources in the Smokies. And here's our filter process here. We got a platypus gravity feed. We've got a dirty water in this bladder. It goes down through the tube, through the filter, and into the clean water bladder. And then we just refill our bottles from that or drink from the clean water bladder. It's as simple as that. Because there's no water fountains out here. Our team dietitian is collecting blackberries. Fresh off the tree. I guarantee you there's going to be a bear that's going to be pissed off because we're getting all of his blackberries. Alright, we're on Noland's Creek Trail, and it appears that the creek is the trail. Well, we're probably about 2 miles from camp. Still on Noland's Creek. There's been several little stream crossings, nothing major. But we lost a lot of time back there collecting blackberries. See, my wife is a nutrition genius, registered dietitian, and she can't pass up free, healthy food. Look at those calves. If we get into a survival mode where we have to live off the land, I think I could eat those calves. I'm picturing them on a grill. Those grill stripes, maybe some barbecue sauce made with some of the blackberries that we picked. Yeah. Looks like we've got to cross. We have to cross Noland's Creek. I wasn't expecting this. Anyway, we're going to use two different techniques. I'm just going to charge it with my shoes on. Brenda's going to put on her water shoes. So actually I'm going to go across and come back and get her pack. Oh, okay. I'm hoping my shoes will dry out. I'm also hoping I don't fall. It's a nice little current there. Alright, now my feet are good and wet. It should dry out. Looks like we have another creek crossing. This one seems to go all the way down there. The trail starts back down the creek. Once you get over here, this is kind of funny. There's a bridge. Can you see the bridge? We're going to cross the bridge. Good thing we didn't get our feet wet. Alright, we've got our accommodations ready for the night. We're staying in the Nolan Creek Hilton. Compliments of Z-Packs. This is the Z-Pack triplex. 3-man tent. 27 ounces. Doesn't get any lighter than that. Hold up to a hurricane. I hope I'm never out in a hurricane. But it's nice and cozy for 2 people. Got plenty of room. We got sleeping pads, and since it's summertime, we're just bringing a quilt. That's a Outdoor Vitals 30-degree quilt that I use for my hammock. Very nice. This is what, beans and
Red beans.
beans and rice.
And a bunch of some dehydrated stuff.
Right.
Red peppers. I don't remember what. Onion, red pepper, green pepper. I don't remember what I put in there. But I added extra red beans to the Zatarain's mix.
And we let the beans soak all day.
Yeah.
In one of our water bottles.
Well, all the dehydrated stuff.
Oh.
The onions, the beans, the red and green peppers. And Mega has some tomatoes in there too. Dehydrated tomatoes. So.
Ended up being, I think, 14 miles today. Took longer than we thought. We kind of lollygagged picking blackberries for a while. And then we got nailed with the creek crossings. And Brenda used the water shoes. Changing clothes, or changing shoes at each water crossing, which took some time. Yeah, it's a pain. Next time I think I'll leave her. Except she's a good cook, so I don't know. I guess I'll wait. Well, I was out this morning, TCB, taking care of business. You know what I mean? And remember, you're supposed to be 200 feet off the trail or away from any water source. I was walking along and I came across this. Now typically that means there is a family graveyard, cemetery located here because they don't want horses trampling the graves, which makes sense. But it's also a little bit creepy because we camped right across. Well, you probably can't see it, that's a wide angle. We camped right across from the cemetery. Those sounds I heard last night were the ghosts of old inhabitants. Their spirits still roam these hills. Alright, it's about 10 o'clock. We're leaving campsite 63 on Nolan's Creek Trail, heading towards Springhouse Branch. And I think we're going to make an alteration here. Instead of going Springhouse Branch all the way to Forney Creek, we're going to break off on Forney Ridge. We make pretty good time on ups and downs and whatnots, but seem to slow down a lot on the creek crossings. So we're going to eliminate some of the creek crossings and follow the ridge. That'll give us an opportunity to visit Andrews Bald, which we would not have seen if we'd gone up Forney Creek. Anyway, it should eliminate some miles too, so we'll have an easy day today, hopefully, because tomorrow is a big day. Could be 20 miles or so. Alright, in the true spirit of documenting everything. We had a little mishap. Slight downhill. That tree branch that I just showed you kind of reached out and grabbed Brenda's foot. And she took a tumble and kind of hit her head on one of these rocks. Side of her face. And scared the bejesus out of me there for a minute because she's kind of passed out and laid there kind of twitching. So we're going to keep an eye on her for the next few miles and make sure she's alright. Well, the falling wasn't enough. We had to cross this bridge here, wobbly as it is. Another creek crossing, but seems like after we pass site number 63, the creek crossings have these bridges, so you don't get your feet wet. It's even got steps. Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Trail update. Looks like we're getting off of Noland's Creek, and we're ready to take a trip to Forney Ridge. Up this way. It's about 2.8 miles. I believe this is called, crap, I can't remember the name of the trail. But anyway, it takes us to Forney Ridge. 2.8 miles this way. This looks like it's one of the campsites too. This must be 64. I didn't mention it. I've got a bug net on. The little bugs are getting really bad. And they seem to enjoy going in my ears. They steal all my good ideas, and I don't like that. We're on Springhouse branch, about halfway to Forney Ridge, and it has been uphill the whole way. We've climbed about 1,800 feet so far, and probably got another mile or so to go. But we've got some water here, so I say it's been about 2 hours since we left the campsite. So I say we grab a little bite to eat and get some water, because when we get up on the ridge there probably won't be any water.
We need to down the water now.
And we need to down some water now. All right, let's get to it. Well, it's possible to save weight with some of these other water filter systems, like the Sawyer Mini, but I prefer this for the two of us because it is two of us, and I can fill up that bag. We can fill up our water bottles, and we're debating whether or not to keep refill the bag, because we're going to be up on Forney Ridge and there'll be no water up there, so it'll give us a backup water supply. So there's a thought process that goes on here. It's not always right, but we do think about it. This is for my grandson. He's a snail hunter. We're going to stop and grab a bite to eat while we're at the trail intersection here. And I am going to seize the opportunity to take my wet socks off from yesterday. I think we don't have any more, it's safe to say we don't have any more stream crossings along the ridge here. So I'm going to let my dogs breathe and grab a bite to eat. We're about halfway from the intersection of Springhouse and Forney Ridge, heading up to Andrews Bald. Been seeing lots of bear scat. To you non-hikers, that's bear poop. So wherever there's bear poop, there's probably a bear. We passed a hiker back at the intersection while we were eating lunch. Said he saw a bear up at Andrews Bald. So we're keeping our eyes open.
My eyes are glued to the trail. I'm counting on you.
Well, we made it to the top of Andrews Bald. Let me give you a altitude here. 5,782 feet. 5,280 miles. So we're over a mile high. Ooh. And as you can see, there's a lot of evergreens up here. I think they take over in the upper elevations. And it smells like Christmas. If you could be here, you could smell the Fraser fir. It just smells like Christmas. Expect to see Santa Claus. Anyway, we're gonna stop and grab a bite to eat. We're both hungry, and we'll talk to you later. All right, I think I said earlier we'll document everything, the mistakes even. We've gotten ourselves into a bind. It's 6:30. We're leaving Andrews Bald, and it's getting late. We got 2 miles to campsite 68. That's where our reservations are. We kind of got put behind this morning with Brenda's accident when she got knocked out, but hopefully we can salvage a good day out of it and make it to campsite 68 and hunker down. We've already eaten. We ate at Andrews Bald, so when we get to the campsite, all we got to do is just set the tent up and crash. All right, we've come to the conclusion that any trail in the Smoky Mountains that has creek in the name is going to be a wet trail. You're going to get your feet wet. A lot of creek crossings, and in the case of this one and many others, Cold Creek, you name it, a lot of times the creek is the path. So use that as sage advice if you're ever planning a trip out here in the spring or fall when the water is still cold. You're gonna get your tootsies wet. Even if you wear boots, it doesn't help you if the water's thigh deep. Let's get Brenda's face on this one. Aww. This is our next creek crossing on Forney Creek. It's at the top of the Forney Creek trail. Anyway, I guess we got a handrail there we'll use. The trail, I don't know if you can see it with the wide angle, but it's over there. Hopefully we have enough light here. It's 8:15. Sun's going down. We got the tent set up. Not in the greatest location, but we've got this 3-man tent. Takes up a lot of space. We're kind of right under the bear cable, but we would have had the same situation if we stealth camped on Andrews Bald or somewhere between now and then. We've got a nice view though. Look at this cascades coming down this solid rock formation. It's been a long day. We're gonna go to bed. See you in the morning. All right, we finally made it out of our Forney Creek backtrack. It was, according to the Park Service, 2 miles down to campsite 68 and then 2 miles back, but that is a very steep 2 miles, but it's not 2 miles. As usual, the Park Service is off. It was more like 2.5. We probably should have just stealth camped at Andrews Bald. You know, if I had it to do over again. We had plenty of water, and we just spent over an hour walking back to the trail that we were on. So, and we've got a long walk today anyway. We've got to get to the shelter at Mount LeConte. So we've got probably 20 miles today. All right, we made it to Klingman's Dome, but today is very rainy and foggy, so we're not going to bother walking to the top because we're behind schedule as it is. So we're just going to hop on the Appalachian Trail, and head north. Which means we get to follow the white blaze. All the other trails in North Carolina, in the Smoky Mountains, are not blazed. They have signs at the intersections, but it's kind of bad if you make a wrong turn, especially on one of the offshoots that's family graveyard from one of the early pioneers, it's very easy to get off the trail. And you start questioning yourself. Are we still on the trail? Are we off the trail? It is beautiful through here. Never been to the Pacific Northwest, but this looks like the pictures I've seen. Moss-covered logs, ferns. Not surprising, there's lots of rain up here. Can't smell it on the video, but you also get that Christmas smell with all these evergreens. Wow. Kind of surprised to see the Appalachian Trail that overgrown, but this is a very fertile area, I guess. You think with a few thousand people walking through here, it would be trampled down. All right, looks like we're coming out of the woods here at Newfound Gap, which means we have 3.7 miles to go to the boulevard and then 5.4 to Mount LeConte. It's 3:15. It's going to be close, but at least at the shelter we don't have to pitch a tent. Oh, that fence back there keeps the wild hogs out of this area because apparently they are devastating the beech tree population, which on this side of the fence there is a boatload of beech trees. All right, we figured that out. Okay, we screwed up. If you look at the map here, we are on Road Prong Trail. We came out at Newfound Gap, and this map is hard to tell because it's not detailed, but it looks like we crossed the road, but it looks like maybe we've crossed the road up a ways, but apparently we're supposed to cross right there. But this Road Prong Trail had a 4x4 post in the ground with white blazes on it. Anyway, we are 0.7 of a mile the wrong way, so we're going to go back, add a few miles to an already long day. All right, let's go. Double time. We're following a different white blaze. Turns out we were on the right track, but it was very confusing because the what's the name of that prong trail was actually closed off and kind of overgrown, and the AT goes into the woods according to my non-detailed map right at that same point. So it was confusing. Not just us, there was another group of hikers there that were confused as well. So I'm not the only idiot. All right, we failed reaching our destination. It's almost 6 o'clock. We're about a little less than a mile to the boulevard, so we'd have another 5.4, and these distances are off, so I'm saying 6 to the shelter at LeConte. So we are going to stop by Icewater Springs shelter, which is about a mile from here, right on the AT, and see if there's any openings. If not, we're going to pitch a tent and call it a day. My watch here. It's 6:41. We have selected a stealth spot away from Icewater Springs shelter because apparently it's full today or tonight. So, which is good. I wasn't all that keen on staying in a shelter anyway. So we're fixing our evening meal. We'll pitch our tent and we'll call it a night. I'll let our team dietitian tell you what we're having for dinner.
Nors with lentils and carrots and peas.
Cooked over our alcohol stove.
Yeah.
Well, it's
keep learning.
morning of day 4. We're at the top of whatever mountain Ice Water Spring is at, and it is pretty dang chilly up here. I had to put the long sleeves on. Got the coffee going. Well, we fixed the coffee. Fixing some oatmeal. We're going to pig out for breakfast, and we've got a light, easy day today. I'll let you get my attractive wife in the picture here.
I look like I belong out in these woods.
She's
They
really,
don't let me in the city.
she's developing quite a bruise here on her
Yes.
face. Yeah.
Yeah. Lovely. Pan on down to the legs. They're also very attractive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the moral of the story is, if you're going to fall, try to fall on one of the uphills. Because if you're going downhill, it just compounds the inertia. All right, there's a look at our stealth camp. The shelter was full, so we just camped out here the way nature intended. This is right in our camp. I can almost reach out and touch her. She's only about 10 feet away from me. Very skittish. I think she's looking for some of the food that I spilt last night. Cooking over an alcohol stove made out of a beer can is very unstable. I spilt probably 1 serving of our Zatarain's rice. Or our Nors. I was looking forward to that because we've been eating Zatarain's for the past 3 nights. Alright, we can kind of take it easy today. Got kind of a pedestrian day. I think it's only like 7 or 8 miles because we're cutting off the 5 to 6 miles that would have been coming back from Mount LeConte. I picked a bad spot to start talking. The beauty of today, we're about a mile, maybe a mile and a half from Charlie's Bunion. And as you can see, look at that, the sun's in my face. We kind of got cheated out of Clingman's Dome yesterday. It was rainy and foggy, and you couldn't see more than 40 or 50 feet ahead of you. So anyway, we should get some nice views today, I hope. Taking another stop on the hike to Charlie's Bunion. Behind me, you can see one of the many beautiful views. Oh, here's another beautiful view behind me. Okay, but out this way you can see clouds, and sadly you can see all the dying hemlock trees. Apparently there's a parasite or something that's wiping out a lot of these. Oh, I just got another whiff of Christmas.
Yep.
The evergreens.
Maybe right up there.
Beautiful. All right, on we go. Charlie's Bunion, right here. You can see it back behind us. We're overlooking, I guess this is towards the north. Actually, I can pull. Anyway, we're at just over 6,000 feet. Beautiful, rocky,
Scary.
and scary if you're not sure-footed like my partner here. That's Could you hear that? Off in the distance, I'm guessing it's coyotes because there's no wolves up here, but it sounds like dogs. But dogs aren't allowed up here either. I mean, wolves are allowed, but they don't survive up here. Alright, we're saying goodbye to the AT. We're on Dry Sluice Trail. I guess that's how you say it. We passed some other hikers coming from the direction of the sounds that we heard. We thought it was coyotes. Apparently it is dogs. They are not allowed in here, but these have tracking collars, and who knows, maybe they work for the Park Service. But they had a tree bared, I'm sorry.
A bare tree.
But they had a bear treed up the road here, up the trail. So they said the dogs are friendly. I don't know about the bear. We'll find out. Just remember, you don't have to outrun a bear, you just have to outrun your hiking partner. Who's back there? Oh, and by the way, we're at roughly 46 miles. And if we're heading back, I'm pretty sure we're past the halfway point. Even though we're, I don't know. I guessed it at about 80 miles for the trip.
That's before we cut off 10.
That's right, we cut off 10 to Mount LeConte. So it'll be interesting to see what we end up with. We still got 2 more days. 2 more days of fun and adventure in the wilderness. All right. Can't get this sitting at home in front of the TV. Yeah. We're heading down in elevation. You can hear the stream over here to my left. And it seems like we're entering a old growth hardwood section. Very peaceful and quiet. Beautiful. Well, we're on Dry Sluice Trail, and if the name means anything, the Park Service lied. This is the trail. So apparently, sluice is not the word for shoes in any language, because this is not dry shoes. All right, we're caving in and putting on the bug nets. As you get to these lower elevations, the humidity and the warmer temperatures, I guess, brings out all the bugs. So this is our solution.
Awesome.
We've hit the turnoff to campsite 49, 0.6 miles.
Party.
That way. Party on. Hey, one thing I did notice.
What?
These black veils make Brenda's face look not as bruised.
Yeah.
All right, we're at campsite 49. Looks like a nice site. Should be. I mean, you have to walk 0.6 of a mile down to the campsite. The trail goes no farther. So hopefully this will make up for campsite 68 on Forney Creek. Anyway, we're going to look for a place here and set up, and we'll show it to you when we're done. Washing clothes the old-fashioned way. We're taking this opportunity to clean everything, even our shoes. These babies smell really bad. This is how the Native Americans used to dry their shoes. We have a stream front dinner for 2 planned.
Black beans, corn, dehydrated onions, maybe some tomatoes, and rice. Waiting for the cheese and the queso and chips to go along with it. They're delivering it.
And the Dos Equis.
Yeah.
Well, all the wood's wet, but we gave it our best shot to start a fire. We got it going. We'll have to see if it stays going.
Built by little Boy Scout hands. Raging fire.
That's right. This is the nightly routine of hanging the food bags from the bear cable. The park requires that you hang your pack and your food from these bear cables that they supply, and it's for your own safety, I guess. It keeps the bears from getting in your food. Not only bears, but more likely the little critters, mice and chipmunks or whatever, that have been known to chew holes in your backpack or your food bag and go off with your food. So it's a good idea. Yeah. Well, we're breaking up camp for what's this, day 4? No, this is day 5.
Yeah, Thursday.
Yeah.
It's our grandson's birthday.
Happy birthday to my grandson, Tommy. He
5
turns
years old.
5 today. Yay.
Start school too.
And start school. Breaking up camp, we're slept in. We slept in again because we've only got maybe a 10-mile day. We're heading to Smokemont, and then we get on the Mountains to Sea Trail, and then we're going to stay at campsite 52, I believe, and then we start heading down to Deep Creek tomorrow for our last day. If you ever get a chance, campsite 49, right on the creek there, beautiful. Didn't want to leave, but we had to. But like I said, today's a short day. We've got about, I don't know, 10 miles. These mileages are always off, but heading out here to Bradley Fork to Smokemont, and that'll be an intersection with a road, and there's a campground there, maybe even a camp store. I wouldn't mind getting a few candy bars, but hopefully at the very least we can drop off our trash. We've lightened our packs. I mean, we're 4 days in. We've only got 2 more days. Obviously food is what's lightening our load. Haven't talked about pack weight yet, but we started out, you know, everybody talks about base weight. I have no idea what our base weight was, but I did weigh the packs loaded with water and fuel and everything, and we were about 22 to 23 pounds, somewhere in there. So you figure that was with 1 liter of water each, and we picked up another liter bottle when we got to Clingman's Dome, so we're carrying probably 2.5 liters of water a piece. But if you figure 2 pounds of food per day, that put our base weight probably around 10 or 11 pounds. I don't know. I'll measure it all out when we get back home, and I just don't agonize over that. I go by feel, and it feels good. I'd give you a temperature reading here, but it varies so much. You know, you're on one side of the mountain, it can be hot, you're sweating, and you go over the other side, there's a cool breeze blowing up, or maybe a cool breeze blowing over the mountain. I looked at my little thermometer here I've got on my shoulder pad, and it shows about 75. It's very comfortable here, and this is mid-October. See, I mean, no, not mid-October. I'm thinking ahead to our next adventure. It's mid-August, August 17th. I will say that the nights have been kind of cool, especially at the higher elevations. We've lightened our packs for a summer trip. We didn't bring any sleeping bags. We brought a Outdoor Vitals 30-degree quilt, and we're just laying that over top of us. And we both noticed that if our arm or if our toes get out from under that quilt at night, they get a little bit chilly. So anyways, beautiful in the mountains here. Temperature during the summer. We had second thoughts about planning a trip like this in August because of the heat, but it's really not that bad. Just a helpful tip. When you're wearing a bug net like this and you're trying to eat because you're constantly trying to take on calories, It's important not to do this. Have to remember, pick the net up, place the food in, and then chew. In the true spirit of showing everything and not editing out any of the screw-ups, we just took about 1.5 miles, no, probably 2.5 mile detour. We are supposed to be on the Bradley Fork Trail, which is what that says. And this is what we have. We have 2 trails branching off. So we took the left route for about 1.5 miles. And we didn't come to any trail intersections that we should have been coming to. So we turned around and came back down. We're going to try this one here, because I believe that's Bradley Fork. All right. Correction, we were actually 5 miles. We added 5 miles to our day. So what was an easy day is just a normal day now. Should be 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 to 13 or so maybe. We'll find out. Doesn't matter, it's all good.
Yeah, we'll see in a little while.
At least right now, we're fine.
Right now.
We've got enough food for 2 more days. We got a tent. This Bradley Fork has some beautiful stream crossings. You don't see that sitting at home. Also, Bradley Fork is one of these ultra-wide superhighway trails where you can make up some time on. As long as you don't trip over a rock like I just did. Back in civilization, I think we have to take a short trip through the Smokemont campground to get to the main road up here. Since we took Bradley Fork Trail, it's going to dump us out on the main road and we have to walk to the right, hopefully just a short distance, because I'd like to get back off the beaten path. Seems like a nice campground though, if you're into campgrounds. Very nice, well kept. Got a stream right over there. Stopping for a little water break on the way up Newton's Bald. We've been, how long, about an hour? 4:30? Whatever. About an hour, and it's just been a steady climb. But we kind of figured that. I believe our campsite is on the downhill side on the other side. But something of note is the very fresh bear scat we saw on the other side, just a few yards down that way. That looked like it was still warm. I didn't put my finger in it. That's the only way to be sure. So we're keeping an eye out, and we will update you if there's anything to update on. Heading up into the clouds on Newton's Bald. Apparently the whole 5 miles is uphill. We just passed, for the first time ever, on the trails, we passed a Park Service employee in charge of security, or in charge of law enforcement. He checked our permits to make sure everything was in order. Every time I start talking, I get to a spot where I probably shouldn't talk. Anyway, he checked our permits to make sure everything was in order and that we had reservations at site number 52, and we do. But that's something to think about in the future. Any of you guys that come up here, you better have some type of documentation of your permits. And I took a picture of my email and put it in my photos on my phone, because I suppose if I was to pull up my email, I don't have any service up here. Anyway, I also did mention to him that, you know, he asked if we made it to LeConte, and I told him no. We were getting behind the 8 ball and chasing the clock, and it was getting dark, so we stealth camped at Icewater Springs. And he was cool with that. So they discourage it But they also understand that if you get yourself into a bind, it's perfectly all right to go off trail, follow the leave no trace rules, and you'll be all right. Still on Newton's Ridge. This has been one steady climb for 5 miles, 5.5 miles. Yeah, wouldn't be a bad climb, except we're starting it after already doing 11 miles. So the legs are a little bit tired. We should be probably less than a half a mile, maybe a quarter of a mile to our campsite. Well, I'm going to do this quick. We made it to site 52. Of course, distances were off. Looks like a fairly nice campsite. It's up on a ridge, so which means that the water source, you have to go downhill to get to it. Seems to be a spring, but you got to walk down a very steep hill. And the ranger told us it was a trickle, and he wasn't kidding. Well, in the spring and fall and winter, of course, you could see the sunset from here. It's right behind all those trees. Well, we got camp set up before the sun went down. That was our goal. We just have to eat and wash dishes.
Yep, and it's delicious.
Mmm. Well, we knew our luck would come to an end. It's been a beautiful week. Very little rain until we hit Clingman's Dome. But we're at the top of Newton's Bald, where we camped last night. We're eating breakfast. And here comes the waterworks. Oh well, we've been very fortunate. Usually rains a lot more in the Smokies. Alright, this is our last day in the woods.
Why don't you say the miles on there so we can go?
We are on day 6. It's Friday. We're at 68.4 and we're heading for Deeplow. We're on Thomas Divide Trail heading for Deeplow, which is going to take us over to Indian Creek, which we've been on for many day hikes. So that should be some familiar territory. We're catching the rain today, making up for lost time. Typically when we're up here it rains every day, a little bit anyway. You know, it might not rain all day, but part of the day. But we've had clear skies for most of the time, except for the day we were at Clingman's Dome. Should be about a 10-mile day. But I said that before. I've been known to make a few wrong turns, as Brenda will remind you. But I'm going to be on my game today because I'm looking for some pizza and beer, hopefully by 3 o'clock. Yeah, well, we're at about 4,300 feet, 4,000 feet, and we're coming out of the clouds, so we can feel the sun. We can see the sun too over that way. I don't want to look at the sun and fall off the mountain, but it's, believe me, it's out there. The scenery is getting brighter, and we're getting closer to pizza. One track mind. All right, we still got about 1.25 miles or so to Deeplow Trail, which will take us over to Indian Creek, and that should be the home stretch. All right, we made it to the cutoff to Deeplow Gap Trail, and we're going to head over to Indian Creek, 2.1 miles that way. Well, we made it 6 days and 70-something miles without seeing a bear. We have been seeing, I think, 3 or 4 piles of bear scat on this trail. Looks fairly fresh. And the only way to really tell is to put your finger in it. And I've been trying to get Brenda to do that, but she won't do it. So it'll be a mystery. But it looks fresh, so we might be treated to a bear. Who knows?
Treated? Treated?
All right, we're getting back into the lower elevations, and the bugs are getting bad again.
Bugs and humid.
And it's humid. Honestly, I think these bugs are attracted to my hat. It smells horrible. It smells like a carny's armpits. So I think it's going to have to be retired after this trip. And I will have to put a plea out to my children to get me another hat. Has to be either Virginia Tech or the Florida Gators. Nothing else will do. Well, actually I have a USF Bull now. So make it happen, kids. And I also have ties to the University of North Florida, so it could be an Ospreys, Bull, Hokie, or Gator hat. Anything will do. Alright, we're half a mile or so from Indian Creek Trail. We just passed campsite 51. We're hitting some more rain. Well, that kind of takes care of the bugs for us, but I'm going to leave my net on because it makes me look so sexy. All the ladies are wondering, what's he got under there? Crap, I just walked through another spider web. And it keeps the spider webs off of you. But, and again, with Brenda, you don't have yours on?
No.
Ah,
I'm badass.
maybe you should.
I think my face is scaring them away.
Yeah, I think her bruise and facial scars are scaring the bugs away. They say, I don't want to mess with her.
Maybe that's what you need to do.
Yeah. Alright. You wonder how people get lost out here? We were on Deeplow Gap Trail. We're going to Indian Creek Trail, 0.1 miles, but it points that way. But look, there's a trail that way and a trail that way. That way or that way.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yesterday we took the wrong trail. So if we took that one, let's take this one. Only 0.1 miles to Indian Creek. So it's not like yesterday where you go 5 miles and realize you're on the wrong trail. So we should know in the next few minutes whether or not we made the right decision. If we didn't, then I'll give you a trail update and my face will look like this. Alright y'all, Deep Creek Campground, 3.6. Of course that's Park Service miles. That 0.1 ended up being 0.3 miles. So anyway, we're in the final stretch. And I have a theory about these Park Service miles. Most of these signs look like they've been here since the park was founded back in the 40s. My theory is, this is back in the days before, in the 1940s, that's the days before everybody had Garmin's on their phone, or satellite receivers on their phone, and Garmin's in their pocket, and all these other things. So, they probably had Billy Joe Jim Bob walk a trail and count his steps, and he probably knew about how many steps to the mile, and he would come back and write it down. And they just haven't changed any of these signs or updated them since the 1940s. That's just my guess, because all of them are off. And they're always under what they actually are. So, take that into consideration when planning your next visit or your next hike. But I'm just stopping here to see if you can see the bugs. They really like my hat. Oh crap, look. You can make some good time on this Indian Creek Trail. It's got this luxurious, wide, it's actually a dirt road. We'll call it a trail though, it sounds better.
Gravelly.
But you can make some good time. We're getting 10 miles in. Of course, all of it wasn't on this road, but 10 miles in 4 hours, that's not bad at all. And it's got some beautiful scenery overlooking Deep Creek, which during the summer months is a really fantastic place to ride inner tubes down. We're about maybe half a mile from the car, so next time we talk to you, we'll be at the car. Alright, she's already taken her pack off.
Oh, my pack's off.
We are done. Stick us with a fork. Let's see. I'll give you the details. We ended up with 78.25 miles. Let's see how much elevation gain. Total elevation gain was 15,550 feet. That's not too bad. A lot of ups and downs.
No. Is that the same cross-country group?
I think
No,
it
they
is.
look older.
Anyway, I'm going to go take a dip in the creek and then we're going to go eat.